All right, here we go again. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, everybody, to the Second and Long Football Podcast. My name is Gabe, and of course, I am joined by my co-host Joe. Joe, how are you doing today?
I am feeling absolutely fantastic. Draft coming up in 2 days from now. So if you're listening to this after and anything we talk about is horribly off, it's not my fault. So just want to get that out of the way early. That if we might be making some calls, might be making some predictions. We're going to be diving into the draft a little. So just be wary that I am not a draft analyst, and just take everything we say with a grain of salt.
That is true. Believe it or not, neither Joe nor I are GMs of any of the NFL teams, nor are we scouts or anything. So we might not have quite the level of knowledge as those people, but we're just here to make some predictions, have a little bit of fun, and will we be wrong? Yeah, most likely. I can see that,
hey,
but that's the point, really.
We could also be just totally dead on. We could be could emphasis on the word could be just absolutely dead on. Will we be? We'll see. We'll see in 2 days. But
I mean, we probably will be, but we just have to put out that warning, just in case we aren't. Don't want to come out here and be too cocky. But of course, our predictions are going to be right.
Totally.
Just in case, on the 2% chance that they're not, we do want to put out that disclaimer.
We are going to offend you. Just that is going to happen. There is no workaround. You will be insulted by what we say, but you're here, so just brace yourself.
Here we go. All right. So let's jump into the first piece of
Let's go ahead and get this started. Running back Melvin Gordon is re-signing with the Broncos. Okay.
Ooh, man, wow.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to talk about some Deebo Samuel. This is not a joke. I have nothing to say about that. No one anywhere has anything to say about that. But yeah, that just happened. So congratulations, Melvin. But Deebo Samuel. Okay. So
a real NFL player.
Anyway, let's get into some real news. Okay, we just lost anyone that has any emotion for the Broncos, but you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Chargers fan. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
We're gonna leave that where it is. Okay. So talking about Deebo Samuel a little bit more. We got into it a little bit last week. Our last episode, I should say, about Deebo Samuel being moved from the 49ers. And it has recently came out that a league executive told Tony Pauline he expects Deebo Samuel to be traded to the Jets for a deal involving the 10th pick of this upcoming draft. What are your initial thoughts on the possibility of Deebo Samuel? Okay? This is not like, prime Julio or DeAndre Hopkins. This is Deebo Samuel being moved for the 10th pick. What are your initial thoughts?
I think if the 49ers are able to pull this off, that they would be absolutely scamming the Jets, because I get there's a lot of 49er connection between San Francisco and New York with was it Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator, who was the passing game coordinator back in San Francisco a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously Robert Saleh. But the thing is, Deebo had his best year last year, the year after Mike LaFleur was removed from the 49ers. So not that I'm saying that Mike LaFleur won't be able to know how to use Deebo Samuel, but it's not like this is some sort of situation where his best year was under this same guy. It was all Kyle Shanahan, really. And obviously Deebo Samuel, very talented, but he was definitely schemed up correctly. And so I think if he goes to New York, you're definitely not going to see the same production, especially because he's come out and said that he does not want to play the running back wide receiver hybrid. He wants to just be a strict wide receiver, which is fine, but it's definitely not the same value as he had last year, where he was touching the ball 80% of the time. He's going to be touching the ball a lot less. He's going to be used a lot less, and so not touching the ball as much, and also just the way he's used isn't going to be might not be as productive as the way he was used before. And so, although he's worth a lot, is he worth the 10th overall pick? I don't think so. I think I'd much rather take one of the wide receivers that fall to you at number 10 if you're the New York Jets.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And sort of on like going off of that, so Deebo Samuel this year statistically had 1,400 receiving yards, which is that's a mind-boggling number. That's pretty it's pretty damn good. Okay, that's a fantastic
you
stat
gotta
line.
wonder how many of those yards are on little pop passes, which are just basically the same as rushing. You know what I mean?
Right, and I'm looking at his year to year right now. He's been in the league for 3 years. First year, 800-yard season, which is for receivers, 800 yards is good. It's not great.
Yeah, that's pretty good,
it's
especially
not,
for a rookie.
Exactly. It's not great. It's not bad. It's good. It's
you'll take 800 yards when you spend a second round pick on a receiver.
800 yards means you will have a career in football. Like you at least get to the next year. And then last year, did Deebo get injured?
You mean 2 years ago?
2020, I guess.
2020?
Because I'm looking at...
It's definitely possible.
Well, I'm looking at this, and it's saying that he had a 391-yard year.
Oh, then he was definitely...
Yeah, with 33 receptions. So, yeah, I guess he was injured in the 2020 season. And then, 1,400 yards this year. So, pretty big fluctuation there. Will he be able to maintain 1,400 yards? No. I'm saying that right now. No, he will not. And he's 26 right now, and I don't know. What do you think his ceiling is, especially if he leaves Kyle Shanahan?
I think we've seen his ceiling already. I can't imagine him getting much better than he was last year, and especially now that he could potentially not be with Kyle Shanahan. I mean, it's still very possible that, keep in mind, he might not even be traded still. Now, all the reports are saying that he will be, so we'll just pretend like he is going to be dealt.
I mean, okay, I don't know if you saw the nightclub video. Did you?
I heard,
Did you happen to grace your eyes on that?
I saw that, and I heard that, when he was saying no, it wasn't to the sign. He was saying no to a waitress was bringing him a drink, and he was just saying no thanks to the drink. That's what I heard coming out now all of a sudden. So, did he say no to the Stinging Niners? Who knows?
From watching the video, that was not what I saw. I saw a dude dancing with that sign was way too big. For one, that was a bit much. So that giant sign was being flashed around, and camera pans over to Deebo, and he starts doing the cross over his neck, sort of the international no, which for that giant sign, the camera pan, all that timing, I don't know if that would be really bad timing to do the net cross thing. That would be horrible timing to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how much stock you can put into that. There's so many different variables that could have led to that. I don't know. It definitely looked suspicious, but do we really know if it means one thing or the other? I don't know. I would obviously think it's a lot more reliable that the fact that he's come out and said that he wants to get traded would be that. But I mean, I think this is definitely maybe something on top of that. I mean, you never know. Like I said, he could potentially not get traded. It's very likely he will get traded. But
probably. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't put much stock into someone doing something at a nightclub because you never know what planet he could have been on while he was at that nightclub.
I was gonna say, he's got James Harden syndrome. I don't know. It's either you're somewhere falling out of rhythm if you're in a nightclub, or you're the best to do it. There's no in the middle. You don't see I don't know who's the most middle of the road player you can think of. You never see that guy. You never see just the role player on a team at a nightclub.
Will Disley.
There you go. Will Disney's not going to any nightclubs.
Damn right.
Yeah. Nice.
But regardless,
right.
back on track a little bit. The 10th overall pick.
Right.
I think you're much better off going Chris Olave if Garrett Wilson somehow falls to you at number 10. I mean, even potentially take Garrett Wilson at number 4 and then take whoever you want at number 10. Like, if a tackle then falls to you at number 10 or cornerback potentially. Whoever you want to go with, edge rusher, I don't know.
Right, yeah.
But I just definitely think you have better options to upgrade your team than bringing in Deebo Samuel.
Right. I've been really high on Jamison Williams myself, receiver out of Alabama.
That's right.
I can see him definitely going up around there, up near 10. And obviously the Jets will not be using the number 4 pick that they have. That will be going to something else. But they can definitely spend that number.
Well, I don't know about
do
that.
you see a receiver going at 4?
I can see Garrett Wilson going at number 4. Sure, yeah.
I don't know. There's a chance.
I will say this: Garrett Wilson is that guy.
Is he? Is he now?
He is. He is the best receiver in the class, and he has the potential to have the same type of impact as Jamar Chase had last year. I mean, obviously, if he goes to the Jets, he won't have that same impact just because it's the Jets and he doesn't get to play with Joe Burrow. But I think, I think you are. I mean, if you have someone like, if Kayvon Thibodeau is at 4 there, then you definitely consider taking him there over someone like Garrett Wilson. But if there's no options that you really like that really fell out of the top 3 that you want to take, like if Hutchinson and if the top 3 are Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and one of the tackles like Evan Neal or someone like that, I definitely would consider Garrett Wilson at number 4.
Okay. Depending on depending where they all go. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, from what everything I'm hearing about, all of the different, biggest players in this draft, from, Evan Neal, Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Travon Walker, Thibodeau, on and on. This seems like one of the most malleable drafts in recent memory.
Yeah, there are no real...
There's no locks.
Front runners. Yeah, there's no number 1 guarantee. The quarterbacks, I mean, it's seemingly Malik Willis is the number 1 quarterback, but I have also seen people put Kenny Pickett above him. The edge group, there's no clear-cut number 1. People got Thibodeau, people got Hutchinson, people got Travon Walker. You got the cornerback class, most people have Sauce Gardner at number 1, but I could definitely see a world where Derek Stingley is a better player than Sauce Gardner. So it really is, you're absolutely right. The top 10 on draft night is going to be absolutely wild, and I think this is going to be, in recent memory, one of the most crazy top 10s where I'm not sure if anyone will be able to predict it that well, because in the past I feel like we've had some more predictable top 10s than not, but this year, no, there's no way. It's going to be crazy. I don't know, even if you don't even discuss trades, it's still going to be crazy. And then you also got to factor in trades, which is going to make it that much more wild.
Right. Well, I've been hearing a lot of people aren't really jazzed with the idea of trading up for those picks. It seems like this year, it's their value is sort of not what it has been in the past. Even the number 4 pick, you really have no idea sort of what you're getting. And, with even the receiver position group is pretty deadlocked in terms of year to year who the top guys are. And, I've seen Chris Olave hoisted as the top one. I've seen Jamison Williams, now Garrett Wilson, and
Drake
London, yeah. They've just come out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but sort of their image has been spread more in the past about month or so, whereas those other 2 guys were fairly confirmed not too long ago to be sort of the top guys in the draft, especially after the combine. And now Drake London and Garrett Wilson are sort of competing for that top spot, and anyone could go anywhere. And I mean, that's a pretty broad statement, because yes, anyone could go anywhere. If the Jets want to draft a punter at 4, they can, and I wouldn't hold that.
Hey, you never know. Hey, it is New York. You
I was
never
gonna.
know.
I was about to say, like, I wouldn't put that past them. I could see them. Yeah. We gotta shore up our special teams. But yeah. No, it's a really wild year. Like, even the number one, even in the most complicated years, has been pretty dead set. And now it's Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Evan Neal, and even Kayvon Thibodeau were all at one point like, oh, this guy's a lock at number one. And now it's completely up in the air. Seems like it's between Walker and Hutchinson, though.
Yeah, that's my guess, and especially too, like in other years where there's like top quarterbacks class, like I'm sure if the Jags could trade down, they definitely would, but I don't think there's gonna be anyone that would want to come up to number one. Like if the Jags had the number one pick next year, then they would trade down for sure because there's gonna be a lot better quarterback prospects, and someone would definitely want to come up for one. And obviously you got Trevor Lawrence, so you're looking good there, but. Yeah, so just I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of feel bad that the Jags have the number one pick just because it's like in recent memory a number one pick with a lot less value. Because like last year you had Trevor Lawrence, there was Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray in the most previous years that were like great number one pick, like locked number ones.
Even a little bit further back, Myles Garrett was a slam dunk. It was like, no way this guy can fail.
Exactly. And he was like the clear-cut number one edge guy in that class.
Yeah, you're just sort of waiting like, okay, we're going to wait for Roger Goodell. We're just going to wait for him to say Trevor Lawrence, and then we're going to move on, and then things are going to get exciting. Whereas now it's like, oh, God, are the Jets going to just destroy their future in one fail swoop? Just because they need to get this right for the fans in Jacksonville. It's just been the past decade, outside of 1 year, it has just been misery and depression. It's time for the turnaround. They went big in free agency, and they got to go a little bit bigger in the draft.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, like considering the past number one picks, like you said, with Hutchinson, Thibodeau, Trayvon Walker, Evan Neal, out of those guys, I think I would take Evan Neal, because I mean you have Josh Allen and Kayvon Chason. Now I know Josh Allen's great. Kayvon Chason has not been so great, but he is still very young and with a lot of potential upside. And so and I know you do have decent tackles as well. You have Cam Robinson, Jawan Taylor, and I believe there's even a third guy on that roster that's not too bad, but I think if you're the Jags, you want to give Trevor Lawrence as much help as possible. So if you can get that, cornerstone left tackle in your locker room, I think that would definitely be the right call. And then that way, everyone on the offense, Travis Etienne, who's finally going to play his first year as a sophomore, can reach his potential behind that offensive line. You got Christian Kirk, who they gave a bunch of money to, will look better because Trevor Lawrence will actually have time to hit him deep, which is what he's going to be good for.
Right. Well, so an offensive line makes every receiver look better.
Exactly. And so to me, I think Evan Neal has got to be the number one pick. I don't think he will be because there's been reports that Shad Khan wants Trayvon Walker, and then the GM for the Jags, Trent Baalke, wants Aiden Hutchinson, so there's a little bit of controversy there. Like, what do you do as the GM? Do you just draft the guy that your owner wants because at any point he can just choose to fire you, or do you just really draft the guy that you want to draft? So Shad Khan kind of puts Trent Baalke in an interesting situation by like kind of being more upfront about wanting Trayvon Walker. But like I said, I think you should take an offensive tackle because you have your number one edge rusher in Josh Allen already. Now, clearly, if you take another one of those edge rushers, that duo would be insane. But right. I think you're better off helping out your young quarterback. And honestly, just every young player on the offense. The offense is very young. And so you're just better off helping them all there potentially reach their potential with just a better blocking offensive line.
Right. Well, something that I completely forgot about over this past year, I completely forgot that the Jaguars last year when they got Lawrence, they got Travis Etienne too. I completely forgot that he went on to play pro football, and he hasn't played a snap yet. Speaking of snap, I think his either his ACL or his Achilles did that. Sorry, but so he sat out the entire past year, and he came out with a little thing earlier on a when he was talking to the press, and he was like, if there was any year to miss, it was this year, and could not agree more, Travis. Could not agree more. So you're going to want to get him a good offensive line too, because I don't know how much ETN you got to see in college. I saw a monster in college. He was an absolute beast. Enough that they spent a first-round pick on him. I want to say it was either 24 or 25.
I think it was 25.
Yeah, that they used on ETN, who awesome catching passes out of the backfield, destroys gaps. He's got a ton of speed, and he can go through defenders. I am really excited to see ETN this year, especially with this guy Trevor Lawrence. See if they can get some of that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connection with being from the same college and even being from the same year. I'm interested to see how that's going to pan out this year for the Jags too. I forgot that was something that they even did for Trevor. So I think Evan Neal would probably be a good addition to the team. At least it would make that offense a little bit more high powered, which good God they need.
You need something.
You need something.
I think especially having someone like Evan Neal on the outside there playing tackle, I think you could definitely utilize Travis Etienne's speed running off him. Like, if you do a stretch to the left, that would definitely be something that would be quite nice. Or even like on-screen passes as well, having someone like Evan Neal out there with his athleticism able to get out, just run downfield and just destroy corners and safeties on screens like that. So I definitely think there's a lot of upside in that way with drafting Evan Neal, where you draft one of these edge rushers, like, of course they're going to be good, but I just don't know if it's really going to take your team to that next level that potentially where Evan Neal could if you really solidify the offensive line. Because if you have Evan Neal, you got that offensive line with Evan Neal, Brandon Sheriff, Brandon Linner, Ben Barch, and Jawan Taylor, Cam Robinson, whoever is on the right side there. That is a top 10 offensive line for sure, and definitely something that will help out Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. And so the best way for Dougie Peterson and Trent Baalke to help out their young quarterback.
Dougie Peterson. Oh,
Dougie P.
Jesus. Well, I mean, look at what that did for Herbert, though, last year when they put an offensive line in front of him. Like, he had easily, like, one of the best sophomore seasons ever. And
yeah, it wasn't even a good offensive line, but it was an upgrade.
The left side was amazing. The left side of the offensive line was fantastic.
Don't try to argue for Storm Norton right now. I know you're not about to.
Oh no. The left side's with Sean Slater. Storm Norton we brought back, and I'm still lost on that call. I still don't get it. I won't get it. There is no universe where I understand bringing back Storm Norton. People argue depth. Yeah, when he comes in, he gets Herbert killed. Rest doesn't matter for Storm Norton. He is bad through and through. Can we trade up for Evan Neal? I want to trade up for Evan Neal now. Can he play right tackle? Does he play right tackle? I don't know. I don't care. He's better than Storm Norton. So I'll take what we can get. So there's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Chargers would be. I don't know. I think you definitely have to trade up if you want someone, because I think, Charles Cross, Evan Neal, and Ike Ekwonu definitely seems like all three of them are going to go within the top 10. So
otherwise we get Trevor Penning.
It's a nice little consolation prize,
right?
Not.
No, it's not at all. That's a terrible prize. I don't want that prize. That prize can stay where it is. I don't want any piece of it.
But speaking of top 10 picks, I do want to talk a little bit about my Seattle Seahawks and their 9th overall pick.
I know you do.
Because this is going to be a big deal, because this is your big pick for Russ because, I mean, you got 2 firsts for Russ. But honestly, like, assuming everyone on the Broncos is healthy next year, you're looking at a bottom 20 pick for the next year pick. So this is the real cash-in value pick that you're getting for the Russell Wilson trade. And so you got to hit big. And so I've seen, I think more often than not, people have been mocking Malik Willis to the Seahawks at number 9. Now, unless you have a lot of confidence in your ability to coach up Malik Willis, which... Pete Carroll, defensive guy. I'm not sure if he'd be the best head coach for Malik Willis. So for me, I think you got to take someone that's going to be a lot more reliable in a way, or just less likely to fail. Not that I think Malik Willis will fail. I just think there's high risk, high reward versus I think there are a lot of other players that you could draft in number 9 that have a lot less risk.
Well, here's my question for you then. Have the Seahawks done anything to their offensive line? Have they done literally anything?
No.
Didn't they let Dwayne Brown walk?
I mean, they can still bring him back. Bring
him back. Okay.
Okay. I think it's possible. I think he's either going to retire. He's going to play for the Seahawks or he's going to retire.
Don't worry, Seahawks. Your season's saved. Your best 35-year-old tackle, he might come back. Maybe. On like a $14 million a year deal, he might come back. Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Whoever you are putting up at quarterback this year, in my mind, he is set up to die. Like, you are setting someone up to get sacked 78 times. You are trying to break David Carr's record this year. You're going for 80. Whoever is standing back there. So, we talked about Baker Mayfield too much last episode, and I alluded to the possibility of him going to Seattle after the draft, and maybe they would be able to find success. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I'm like, wait, the Seahawks had a god-awful offensive line last year, and when I was doing my analysis on Tyler Lockett, I'd look at, God, no wonder Tyler Lockett didn't do even better, because no quarterback back there had any time, and the only reason he was at all successful was that Russ could succeed despite having a terrible offensive line. I don't know if there's really anyone else in the league, unless they're hyper mobile, that can survive behind that line. And if you want to put your rookie behind that line, I wish him luck, because he is going to be smothered from week 1 to week 18. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be painful. So I honestly, if I'm the Seahawks, I might get something else, like maybe buffer the defense a little bit. I don't know, get a skill player elsewhere. Maybe get yourself a receiver. If there's a good O lineman available at 9, like if Cross somehow falls to 9, maybe take him and buffer your offensive line a little bit, and then look for quarterbacks next year, because I don't know if going for one in the draft this year is necessarily their smartest call, unless they are definitely sitting him for a year.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't think quarterback. I take that back. I think the Seahawks should draft a quarterback early, just definitely not at number 9. What I think the Seahawks should do at number 9, like you're saying, if there's one of the offensive tackles there, I think you definitely look at them. Just please not Trevor Penning at 9. But
you just locked in Trevor Penning at 9. I hope you know that.
What I really want the Seahawks to do is take Derek Stingley with the number 9 overall pick.
All right, you want some defense.
And I think because I think if the Seahawks are going to be good within the next few years, it's got to be reliant on that secondary, and so you have a good
get back to your roots.
Exactly, and so you need that high upside corner. As much as I do love Sidney Jones and Trey Brown in there, but I think Derek Stingley, I mean, we saw what he did as a freshman for LSU back in 2019. He was just phenomenal, and just has kind of been waiting for his time to get back into the NFL. He's been last couple of years not been so great with injuries and all that, but you can tell that he is ready to play in the NFL. He's clearly wants to come in and work hard, and we've seen his talent, from a 18-year-old playing at LSU, or 18, 19, however old he was during that season. Still young, locking up dudes left and right. Definitely. And, if he had played the last few years, I definitely think he would be considered above Sauce Gardner.
Okay.
And I just
That's
think
pretty bold.
It would be.
That's pretty bold.
He was damn good for LSU, and also playing against more difficult competition. Like, a lot of people want to talk about Sauce Gardner's stats in college. Like, obviously they're fantastic, but playing up against a lot less talented receivers. Derek Stingley was playing against Alabama and those guys as a freshman and doing well. So I think you look at that and you look at his physical upside. I think, and also too, I don't think Sauce Gardner will be there at number 9. I think it's a lot more likely that Derek Stingley will be there at number 9.
Definitely.
So I definitely think it'd be worth to the Seahawks to
in his
look at that. Sorry,
I just want to say, in 3 years in college, Sauce Gardner did not allow a single touchdown. Literally,
yeah,
none.
But who's the best receiver that he covered though? Like,
I don't know. It was 3 years. Someone had to be good. Someone he covered had to be talented. Within 3 years in just anywhere in D1 football, you're going to end up covering a very talented receiver because you're playing, 10 colleges or some number like that. You're playing a good amount of colleges per year. You're going to eventually run into probably a first round receiver. So he had to be covering some pretty good talent in his time as a, what is it? His mascot. What was it? Yeah, it's a Bearcat. That's interesting.
Bearcat, yeah, Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah. So his 3 years in Cincinnati, yeah, not allowing one touchdown. That should say a lot about him. Now, is he physically more gifted than Derek Stingley? Derek Stingley, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Blanking on names out of nowhere, but physically, is Derek Stingley more gifted? He very well could be, but yeah, that's just a really long way of saying, yeah, Sauce Gardner is going to be well gone by 9. Are you getting a better prospect? Maybe. We've seen many a player do fantastic in college and fizzle out completely in the NFL. So, I guess we'll see. I don't know. Derek Stingley obviously would be a good pick though for Seattle if they're looking to find their success based off that defense again.
Yeah, and the thing is too that you gotta look at is Pete Carroll. Like, one of the best things he's been able to do is coach up these cornerbacks. And so I definitely think having Derek Stingley being coached up by Pete Carroll, I think that's just going to be beautiful.
Minus Trey Flowers.
I think we'll see. Considering that Trey Flowers was a safety and he was converted to cornerback
and did not succeed.
Not succeed
at all.
But he definitely played better than he
unredeemable.
Would have, for a different team. Whatever.
Fair enough.
We've seen, Pete Carroll coach up Shaquille Griffin, and then once Shaquille Griffin leaves, didn't too hot. Obviously, Richard Sherman. Of course, Richard Sherman himself was a great player, but definitely the two of them together helped each other out. And so I think with Derek Stingley going to the Seahawks at number 9, the Seahawks would have one of the better secondaries in the NFL next year. Now, will that count for much? Probably not, but I think,
congratulations, you earned yourself 2 wins.
Yeah, and the
Jamal
thing is,
Adams.
maybe that's
tossing
better
his name out there.
The long run. Maybe that's better in the long run, because if the Seahawks do then get a high draft pick and they're able to draft a quarterback, then they have a quarterback with a great defense. Now you hope they can obviously improve their offensive line if they're looking to take a quarterback in 2023.
The draft isn't even here, and you're already planning on your tank next year.
I'm just saying, I think that for the future, Derek Stingley is going to be the best long-term player, because he might not necessarily help you get any wins this season, because it's hard for one cornerback to really do that. But for long-term sustainability and success, I think Derek Stingley should be the pick at number 9.
Yeah, it very well be a good fit, especially with his just general skill set.
And you also got your 2 second round picks down there at 40 and 41. So the possibility of taking offensive lineman there is also quite high, especially if you're not able to. If Charles Cross, Ike Ekwonu, and Evan Neal don't fall to you at number 9, I definitely don't think there's another tackle worth at number 9. But there's plenty of tackles that you could look at with the 40 and 41st pick. But then that also leads me to the next topic I want to talk about is some of these quarterback fits, because I think the Seahawks should be looking to take a quarterback in the second round possibly, because you take a quarterback in the second round, they don't work out, great, they're easy to get rid of. But I definitely think there's a lot of these quarterbacks that could fall to them in the later or early second. There's been reports about the Seahawks trading up in the first round. I don't think you should do that, because you're a lot more committed to a quarterback if you draft them in the first round.
And it looks a lot worse on you if that quarterback then fizzles out.
Exactly. But if you if you take a first round pick quarterback and it doesn't work out, that does look bad. But honestly, a second round pick that doesn't work out, I mean, we see in Denver with Drew Lock, he was a second round pick, didn't work out. There's not too much flack going to, I mean, John Elway's gotten a lot of flack already.
Yeah.
But regardless
Paxton
of that,
Lynch.
It's just,
there you go. Need I say more?
You're easy. Exactly. Yes, it's easy to get rid of them. So, you draft a quarterback in the second round, doesn't work out, you can easily then draft a quarterback in the first round next year. Where you draft him in the first round, there's a lot more controversy taking quarterback back-to-back in the first round. So, blah, blah, blah. But not just with the Seahawks. I kind of want to talk about all of the quarterbacks because, like I mentioned, Malik Willis has been mocked to the Seahawks. I don't think they should take him. I think he'd be better off going to a different team. But I kind of want to hear some of your thoughts on these quarterbacks, where they might go. I've seen Kenny Pickett to Carolina. I've seen Malik Willis to the Saints, stuff like that. So I kind of want to hear your thoughts on who you think should pick up who and where they might go in the draft.
Well, one that I really like there in terms of quarterback fit, you were talking about Kenny Pickett. I love Kenny Pickett to the Saints. Okay. I think if they're able to develop him, you got Winston, and if Winston works. It's an Aaron Rodgers situation, but not quite as blown up because you don't have an MVP. You have Jameis Winston, so I think it's...
Yeah, I think the likelihood of Jameis working at this point, it's not very high.
Right, so it's a...
I love Jameis.
It's a reasonable selection to go ahead and get Kenny Pickett at either 16 or 19, whichever, you feel comfortable. Your two teams in between those picks are my guys, the Chargers, and the Philadelphia Eagles, both quarterback secure teams, so you could probably wait till 19 and get someone a little bit better to help you out at 16. But I love him. I feel like he would fill in for the hole that Drew Brees has left, or at least he could come closer than anyone else in this draft to sort of fit that same archetype, except Kenny Pickett with a little bit bigger arm. And then I'm interested in all the late quarterbacks. Most of the late ones being Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, and Sam Howell. Those three guys are probably going to be taken at very least under 20, at very least under there. And
oh yeah, for sure.
There's really a lot of potential. The Lions potentially could move on a quarterback there. They're certainly not moving in on one at 2. So.
Oh, I hope not. I would definitely hope not. I've seen that mocked. I've seen Malik Willis to Lions at number 2, and I do not think that should happen at all.
This is Detroit we're talking about. They could very well try something at 2. It would be ugly and horrible.
I have faith. I would have faith in Dan Campbell where he won't do that.
I hope so too, but it's the Lions, and they do nothing but betray my confidence, so... I hope not. I would like to see them possibly go after Corral with that 32nd pick. And then
I see. I'd prefer if they went Sam Howell, but maybe that's just me because I'd prefer if the Seahawks went Corral. But
right,
continue.
Okay, yeah. I just feel like that's a little high for Howell. Howell's definitely going to be a second rounder.
Sam Howell has the potential, because coming into this year, he was supposed to be like the best quarterback in the class, like top 5 picks. So, and he just didn't do so hot. So I think if you're Detroit, you're looking at just like
I don't know. Some guys get
more.
buried like that, and you got to think about your fans too. Every GM is thinking a little bit about, okay, what do the fans want? That's not, obviously that doesn't totally rein in on their decision, but if you totally go against the grain, then you definitely catch a ton of flack from your entire fan base for it. So I see Matt Corral as the popular decision, that even if it doesn't end up working out, you won't be shot down for it, if you know what I mean in that regard.
I don't know. I don't think Detroit would really be mad with Sam Howell, to be honest.
They wouldn't be mad with Sam Howell, but I feel like they'd be mad with Sam Howell at 32. If they,
I mean, maybe you trade back, but I don't know. I think I've seen it mocked before, so it's not. I don't think it's super outlandish to say Sam Howell at 32. And that's my prediction. Like if I had to pick someone if I had to predict like my 32 first picks, and I was at 32, for my mock draft, whatever, I think I would guess that Sam Howell is going at 32.
okay, I respect it. I respect it. I just think that the
that's just
Lions
me,
would
'cause
go with the popular call, being right now that call seems to be Matt Corral, but I don't know. I'm not a GM. I know nothing.
Yeah, right.
And then
And I was just gonna say, I think for me, the reason why I think DK, or I'll get into DK, but I think Matt Corral going to Seahawks would be a great fit, is because it would help make DK happy. Because I mean, I know, I would assume, because I mean they went to the same college, they were there at the same time. Now Matt Corral was not the starting quarterback when DK was playing, but I believe Matt Corral was a freshman.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Continue.
I believe Matt Corral was a freshman while DK was a junior, I believe. And so I think there would be a little bit of a connection there. You know, they've clearly, like, I would imagine at some point during the Ole Miss practices. Yeah. So I think that's why, for me, I think Matt Corral to the Seahawks would be the best. I've even seen some mock drafts having Matt Corral going to the Seahawks at number 9 overall. I don't think they should do that, but that is a possibility there as well.
Right.
But I think, and there have been reports about the Seahawks trading back into the first round. Like I was saying, I'm not sure the Seahawks should do that, but if they do, I think the Seahawks would trade one of their seconds and then a 3rd round pick, kind of like what the Chargers did a couple years ago to get Kenneth Murray with the Patriots.
Yep.
Similarly, like that, that same value to go up and draft a quarterback. So, you know, with you're talking about Matt Corral at 32, it is possible that the Seahawks could trade up and then Matt Corral won't even be there at 32 as well. So there's that possibility that I think could happen during draft night as well. I don't think the Seahawks should do that. I think if they're going to take Matt Corral, honestly, I think you look to trade up in the 2nd round, because I think within the first 10 picks of the 2nd round, that's when Ritter, like between like,
well, that's who I like 40, for the Seahawks,
I think is where,
personally.
You think Ritter would be best
like
for the
Ritter
Seahawks?
because right now the Seahawks, I feel like Matt Corral is a little bit more ready than Ritter is, but Ritter probably has, in my mind, a higher ceiling than Matt Corral does if you're able to train him up right. Now, you have Drew Lock. The hole in the ship has been plugged. Now it's time to go to port with Drew Lock in that hole. Get the ship to port. Don't sink yourselves completely. Just get there. You have Desmond Ritter. You get to port. Shove Desmond Ritter in there, and I think you're safe. I think if they can work on him and they do it right, I think the Seahawks have the capacity to possibly train up a quarterback, especially as, you know, you can point out what Drew Lock is doing wrong and then just tell, yeah, Desmond, just do everything Drew is not doing. Just do that. You'll be fine. That, I think, would be a great call for Seattle. Would be, you know, right now you have the capacity to take on a project.
It is a project. I don't know. I honestly don't think that.
Well, I know as a fan you don't want a project. Projects suck.
Well, no, not even a project, because I think Matt Corral would also be kind of a project. I just don't know if Desmond Ritter is going to have the physical upside. I disagree. I think Matt Corral and Sam Howell both have
Well, that's why you let him
a
simmer
better
for.
physical
That's why
profile.
you let him simmer for a year. That's why you let him cook.
Like Desmond Ritter does have nice mobility, but as far as arm strength goes, I think I'd much rather have Sam Howell or Matt Corral. So that's my kind of worry in a way with Sam, or not Sam Howell. That's my worry a little bit with Desmond Ritter is that, I think he could potentially be a good NFL quarterback, but I'm not sure if he'd ever be an elite NFL quarterback. And I think that's obviously that's what everyone's
Sure.
looking for, but when you're taking a shot at someone in the second round, you just look for that physical upside. And so I think drafting someone like Matt Corral or a Sam Howell would just have more physical upside and potentially be that more franchise elite level type quarterback than someone like Desmond Ritter, who again with obviously not to pile on Cincinnati, but you are looking at someone who has played against worse competition in college. Obviously, like you mentioned, still college players, so obviously pretty good, but you're just it's hard to kind of gauge that with compared to these other schools. Now, not saying that Old Miss and North
Cincinnati
Carolina
get
are
him.
I'm not saying that they're great competition either, but
You heard him,
I
Cincinnati.
don't know.
He's saying you're trash. Get him. Pile on.
No, that's obviously not the point. I just worry about it's these numbers that everyone talks about.
No,
Oh,
this is the
he's
segment of
never
the
lost
show
a
where
game
we
at
just
home,
start
all
dogging on colleges. This is that segment. Who do we want to throw in? I personally want to throw in Montana. I'm a salty Eastern fan.
that.
Everyone from Montana
But-
is bad. Anyway, continue.
But I do want to circle back because I do like your Kenny Pickett to the Saints prediction as well. Because even it's possible too that the Saints got that extra first round pick with the Eagles this year because they might look to move up. I think if any team is going to move from the teens up into the tens, I think that would be the Saints. I think that could possibly be their goal with that because like I mentioned, there is a lot of potential buzz with Kenny Pickett going to Carolina, and they could be using that to their advantage. It could be a little smokescreen there. So I could even see Carolina trading down with the Saints to trade up to draft Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Now that would be kind of tough because the number 6 overall pick does typically have a lot of value, but I think like we kind of mentioned in this year's draft class, there's less value with those top picks because of the prospects. So I
The
think
who
it is
the hell
possible for
knows factor of this year.
Yeah, so I think it is possible for the Saints to make that move. And I think, when you look at a team that randomly trades future picks to get a pick this year, I think that's definitely their goal is to try to trade up rather than I don't think it's because there are 2 first round picks that they just have to take. I think they want to try to package those picks on draft day and move up. Maybe not with Carolina. Maybe they might wait to see what Carolina does and then maybe at like 8 or the Seahawks love trading down. So if the Seahawks also want to trade down at 9 too, that's a possibility. I hope not. I hope the Seahawks stay at 9 to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think that's why a partial reason why the Saints got that pick is to move up for someone like that. Kenny Pickett, he's got those small hands. And you mentioned earlier that Kenny Pickett doesn't have a great arm. I think that's where it's kind of interesting because everyone talks about his small hands. And so I think people look at the small hands and think, oh, he's got small hands. He must not have
God.
a good arm. Where I would disagree. I think actually Kenny Pickett does have a pretty nice arm, but playing in a dome in New Orleans would definitely help out his quote small hand issues.
Well,
So
What
there is
I
that, which would
always
help
say
out him a lot.
what I always say to the small hands argument, watch the film. He can grab and
Yeah.
throw a ball. That's not a problem for him. He'll be fine. Small hands do not matter. What wasn't that Burrow's top concern was dude's got dinky hands, therefore the guy that just won the college championship, no chance in the NFL because chronic tiny hand.
Yeah, but Kenny Pickett does have a lot smaller hands than Joe Burrow does.
Sure, but that doesn't
I
mean
think
he's
Kenny Pickett
incapable.
wears. I think Kenny Pickett wears gloves because he kind of has to.
Yeah, sure. Well, how about Jameis then? Or is he just insecure?
James somewhere. Are you talking about Teddy?
Or Teddy. What am I
think Teddy also
saying?
But
yeah.
I think Teddy also has small hands too.
Well, there you go. Wear gloves. He's fine. There you go.
Wear gloves. But
why did I say Jameis?
I mean, it helps.
I feel like those two are pretty similar.
They
mind.
both played for New Orleans at one point in time.
Is that it? I don't know. I feel like their play styles too, the just kind of general look of them. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of similar. Obviously, Jameis is a big burly guy, and Teddy's Teddy. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We've been recording for 50 minutes. Oh, jeez.
But so
anyway,
but real quick, let's wrap this up with the number one quarterback being Malik Willis.
Right.
Now, I don't know. I think I could see Carolina giving Malik Willis a good look because especially with the culture of that team and especially their owner, they are looking. I think their owner has this the mentality of Super Bowl or bust. So I think he is looking to get a quarterback with a lot of high upside.
Right. Well, I mean, there was a coordinator in NFC that said that Malik Willis, he views them as better prospects than Trey Lance and Justin Fields were a year ago. So, I mean, that's really high praise because I remember Justin Fields and Trey Lance getting danced around last year for being fantastic prospects.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, Trey Lance, the 49ers gave up a lot to move to number 3 overall to draft him. So clearly kind of shows the value that Trey Lance had in last year's draft. So I definitely think Carolina could draft him at number 6, and it wouldn't be a horrible pick. If you look at the other teams in the top 10, I don't think a lot of them are going to be looking at quarterbacks. I think Atlanta won't be drafting a quarterback because I think they're going to roll with Mariota and see what happens there.
They've got their bridge.
I mean, yeah, they got their bridge. And also the thing is, too, like that team is just so bad. I think they know that they're bad, so they're probably going to end up with a top 2 pick in next year's draft. So they'd just be looking at taking a quarterback there. Like I mentioned, I think the Seahawks should wait to draft a quarterback rather than in the top 10. I think you could just fill a different positional need at number 9.
Totally.
So I think if he is going to go early, I think it would be to the Carolina Panthers because there is that physical upside there with Malik Willis with the running and the huge arm. So I just think it's worth it too. If you're Carolina, you have a pretty good team around you already with besides that offensive line is not great, not a crazy amount of holes there. That defense is pretty looking pretty good already, so you don't really need to go anywhere on the defense, I don't think. So I think you're just looking for that high upside in quarterback. And I also don't want to think you want to wait till next year's draft because, you have honestly a pretty solid defense now. And so obviously you're not going to you might not go far with a rookie quarterback, but you get Malik Willis in there and you give him a year to coach up. I think you could be looking at a pretty solid 2023 season for the Carolina Panthers with Malik Willis.
Right. Well, I mean, you heard that statement not too long ago from, I don't know if it was the coach or the GM saying that, yeah, Sam Darnold is our guy next year. And then 1 minute later he said,
good old Ben McAdoo.
Whoops. Yeah. A minute later, just oopsie boom. Didn't mean to say that. That's my bad. I should not have said that. And, that shows that they could potentially spend that pick on Malik Willis. Now, do I love that idea? I'm not very, well, to be honest, I'm not all that passionate about the Carolina Panthers just in general. I've never thought really highly of them. They went to 1 Super Bowl behind Cam, and it kind of looked pretty bad. So, and that was years ago now. And they really haven't been anywhere close to that same shape since. I don't know if Malik Willis is their answer. I can say it's not Sam Darnold, more than likely. If he could prove us wrong this year. He had 1 year in the system, and he was hurt. But when he was in, it didn't look good. So maybe they roll with Sam Darnold, but I wouldn't blame them, I should say, for taking a shot at Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think that's...
And besides, you have Robbie Anderson, who couldn't succeed. right?
Uh,
Right?
Actually, that's right. You definitely want to make sure you consider
Right?
Robbie Anderson before you put in this pick.
Oh yeah,
I guess
he's gonna be sitting around the table at the GM at the draft, and he's just gonna say no, and then there goes Malik Willis to the Panthers, since he has high executive power. God, you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna draft Malik Willis, and he's gonna pull like an Antonio Brown, like on the NFL's post of like the Panthers pick is in, they've selected Malik Willis. He's just gonna put skull emojis in the comments, and then there goes anyone's confidence of Malik Willis in Carolina.
Personally,
That feels painfully realistic.
I think Robbie would like Malik Willis because I just think he just hates Baker Mayfield more than anything else. So
okay, well, when he puts the heart eye emoji on that post, then we'll know for sure.
Exactly. There you
gotta
go.
wait for whatever comment he leaves.
My boy.
Yeah, just whatever 3-word comment he puts down there to be like, okay, that was a good pick, nice. Because I'm sure the GM that night, like, all right, send the ticket, pull up Instagram. What is he saying?
We'll see if Lord Robbie has approved of this trade.
Lord Robbie.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else that you want to discuss with the draft? We kind of went through all the quarterbacks and number one pick, talked about potential trades and all that.
I think we're good. I mean, I guess there is one little thing I'll throw in here at the end. We were talking about the Chargers possibly last week going with a receiver at 17. And it's been put in a different light for me where I can understand the Chargers making that decision. So
right, because I'm not sure what other value would be down there for them for what they need, because there's probably not going to be an offensive tackle that'd be worth that pick.
Well, and that's just the thing, is that I still don't see it as a need. But here's how it was put for me. I forgot where I saw this or who I saw it from, but it was that right now Keenan Allen is 30 years old, and I believe Mike Williams is 27. It's pretty old. It's getting up there,
right?
And we just signed Mike Williams to a 3-year. And Keenan Allen is halfway through a 4-year. So at the end of their contracts, Keenan Allen is going to be 32, and Mike Williams is going to be 30. So they're going to be either hitting the edge of their prime, or they're going to be pretty well out of it. So let's say they get someone like, if Jameson Williams happens to fall really far, because last time the Chargers had the 17th overall pick, we got this funny little defender named Derwin James. And he's kind of worked out a little bit. So and he fell, I don't know if you remember that draft, but Derwin James just kept falling and falling. And
yeah, he's supposed to be a top 10 pick easily. I don't know what happened there.
Right. And the Chargers have a history of taking those guys that fall and making them work. Like last year, Rashawn Slater was the same way. He fell pretty far too. He fell down to 13 when he was a surefire projected top 10 pick. So if we get a guy like Jameson Williams to fall, Chris Olave, sure, happens to come down to us, then we get one of those guys. We paired them up with Joshua Palmer, who we drafted last year, and then when those contracts eventually run out, for Herbert, we still have a solid wide receiver core that will come up as they're starting to age and their bodies break down, they get a little worse. Mike Williams pretty injury prone, and Keenan Allen is not exactly made of steel. So I can see that being a realistic move in planning for the future, giving Justin Herbert reliable targets.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I would say that this could be even Keenan Allen's last year with the Chargers, depending on his production, because I know he's making a lot of money. So if his production starts to decline, he definitely could look to decline. If his production starts to decline, you could definitely look at replacing him. And so,
right. Or he could pull Deshaun Jackson and play forever. Who knows? But
who knows? But
it's not impossible.
solving an issue while it's not necessarily an issue is also a great draft strategy. Like in recent memory, I remember the Seahawks drafted Jordan Brooks while they still had Bobby Wagner, and then we saw how that played out. So
Yeah.
Staying ahead of schedule is always a good strategy, especially if there's just no one else that you think is worth that you think can fill your other holes on your roster. So I think and also too, you get when you do have these other talented players at that position, you have that ability for them to help coach them up. Like I mentioned with Jordan Brooks, I think having Bobby Wagner there definitely helped Jordan Brooks become the player he is today. And so someone like a Jameson Williams or Chris Olave you mentioned. I know you don't want Drake London, so I won't bring that up.
I mean, he's not even coming to us. That's not even happening. So that's a fever dream right there.
But yeah, I think having someone in the building like Keenan Allen with these young guys would definitely be beneficial in the long term to help out having these players could definitely help out Justin Herbert. So yeah, I think drafting a receiver at 17.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
probably a good option.
I still want Jordan Davis. I still want to, make sure our run stopping capability is at its peak, as that was our biggest problem last year, and he can immediately help there. But if we do pick a receiver, I can at least wrap my head around it. I won't, go red-faced screaming at the TV because we picked a receiver. But all will be unfolded in 2 days. And
that's right. And it's possible Jordan Davis might not even be there at, was it 16, 17? 17,
I feel like he will. I've seen every mock put him either at the Chargers or past. Mm-hmm. So
but you never know.
You never know. Clellan Ferrell went at 4. Nothing's impossible.
Oh
yeah, remember that pick? Remember that disaster?
Oh my God.
Yeah, he turned out to be a decent player. You don't spend your 4th overall pick on a decent player.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you had like Brian Burns on the board. Like,
good job, guys.
Josh Allen was on the board too.
Love you, Raiders.
Not the quarterback, obviously.
Keep drafting horribly. All right.
Oh man, I think that's a good way to end the show there.
Yep, that's everything from me. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening in. We'll be back sometime after the draft and probably do a little bit of recap.
See where we're wrong.
Yeah.
Which won't be anywhere because we'll be 100%
we nailed this episode 100%. Yeah. Kyle Hamilton, number 1 to the Jaguars. We didn't talk about him at all. That's kind of funny. But yeah, he really is an sort of prospect. So yeah,
he'll be good, but I don't think he's worth mentioning that much just because he'll be good.
Congratulations, you just made him a guaranteed Hall of Famer.
He'll be worth his pick. I'll say that. Wherever he goes, he'll be worth it.
They're gonna play that pick. They're gonna play that little audio clip at the ceremony of his induction. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at 2andLong Podcast, or follow us on TikTok at 2andLong. Once again, thank you guys for coming. I'm Joe.
My name is Gabe.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Take it easy.